The rain is pounding the glass like it's trying to break in. Thunder growls low over the city. Inside the marble cathedral they call Elite Trust Bank, everything is quiet except the click-clack of expensive shoes and the soft hum of money being counted. The camera glides slow, real slow, past the security guards, past the velvet ropes, until it finds her. Aisha Carter, 24 years old. Skin glowing like polished mahogany even under these cold fluorescent lights. She's gripping a thick folder so hard her knuckles look ready to pop. Her blazer is clean, pressed, but it's the only good one she owns. You can see the pride in her spine, but you can also see the fear flickering in her eyes. She steps up to the lone desk. The nameplate reads Richard Harrington, Senior Vice President. He doesn't look up, keeps scrolling on his monitor like she's invisible. Aisha clears her throat soft. "Mr. Harrington, I have an appointment." Aisha Carter, Carter Botanics. Still nothing. Second stretch. Finally, he sighs like she's wasting oxygen and drags his eyes up just far enough to scan her shoes, her blazer, the folder, then her face. Something ugly curls at the corner of his mouth. "Miss Carter," he says, voice slick as oil, "people like you don't get seven-figure loans." The whole lobby freezes. A white woman clutching her Prada bag stops mid-step. A broker on his phone lowers it slow. Even the security guard by the door shifts his weight. Aisha feels every pair of eyes land on her like hot coals. Her breath catches, but she doesn't step back. Harrington leans forward, elbows on the counter, and smiles the way a snake smiles right before it bites. "Come back when you have a real job, or better yet, a rich husband who can co-sign." He flicks the denial letter across the marble. It spins once, then floats to the floor like a dead leaf. Silence, thick, suffocating silence. The letter lies there between them, red stamp screaming rejected. Aisha stares at it. One tear gathers heavy at the edge of her eye. It falls, slow motion, and splashes on the marble right next to the letter. But she doesn't blink. Something inside her chest cracks open, and the sound it makes is almost loud enough to hear. Harrington chuckles under his breath and turns back to his screen, already dismissing her from the world. But we're not done. The screen snaps to black. White words slam on like a gunshot. 6 months later, that same man would faint dead away in front of her after she became worth $500 million. Let that breathe for a second. Let it sink in. Now we go back, way back. Before the cameras, before the magazine covers, before the private jets and the boardrooms full of people who suddenly knew her name. We go back to the girl who aged out of foster care at 18 with nothing but a plastic grocery bag of clothes and a dream nobody wanted to hear. Aisha Carter grew up in group homes where the lights flickered and the heat barely worked. She learned early that the world likes to tell black girls exactly how small they're allowed to dream. Teachers told her, be realistic. Caseworkers told her, get a trade. Boys on the block told her she was pretty enough to find a man who'd take care of her. But Aisha felt something burning in her spirit that refused to shrink. Every time she walked past the beauty supply store and saw row after row of products that dried out her hair, ashed up her skin, or straight up didn't work for melanin, something in her whispered, I can do better. By 22, she was working 2 jobs, days as a receptionist at a law firm downtown, nights stocking shelves at a 24-hour pharmacy just to pay for community college classes. She saved every extra dime, stayed up until the sun came back writing formulas in spiral notebooks. She taught herself chemistry on YouTube, mixed prototypes in her tiny studio apartment until the whole place smelled like shea butter and tea tree oil. Friends laughed. Girl, you think you finna be the next Madam C.J. Walker in this economy? But Aisha kept going. She named her baby Carter Botanics, clean, plant-based, luxurious products made by us, for us, at prices regular people could actually afford. She entered every pitch competition in the state, took the bus 4 hours each way with her little roller suitcase full of samples. Judges smiled politely, then gave the prize to some tech bro with an app that delivered kale smoothies. She applied for every small business grant, got silence or polite no's. She begged family she barely knew. They told her to pray about it and hung up. So she did what any desperate dreamer does. She walked into every bank in the city wearing her one good blazer and her last ounce of hope. Bank after bank turned her away. Some were kind about it, some weren't. One loan officer actually laughed in her face and said, "Sweetie, the beauty industry is saturated, especially in your demographic." Another told her flat out that investors don't take risks on urban brands unless a celebrity is already attached. Door after door slammed so hard, she started flinching before they even opened their mouths. But Elite Trust was supposed to be different. They had a whole program for women entrepreneurs. They advertised it on billboards with smiling black women in power suits. Aisha had filled out every form, jumped through every hoop, waited 6 weeks for this appointment. She had walked in believing, actually believing, that today was the day God was finally going to open a door. Instead, Richard Harrington opened his mouth and poured acid straight into her soul. When she steps out into the rain, the city is blurred through tears she refuses to let fall. Water soaks her blazer, her hair, her folder full of dreams. People rush past with umbrellas, nobody stops. She stands there on the sidewalk getting drenched, chest heaving, fists clenched so tight her nails leave crescents in her palms. Something inside her breaks clean in half. The part that still believed if she just worked hard enough, smiled polite enough, begged humble enough, the world would finally see her. That part dies right there on the corner of Broad and Market. But something else is born in the same breath, something fierce, something ancient, something that looks a whole lot like her grandmother's eyes when the clan rode past the house back in '63 and Grandma stood on the porch with a shotgun across her lap and didn't move an inch. Aisha wipes her face with the back of her hand, looks up at the stormy sky, and whispers one word so low only God and the rain can hear it. "Watch me." She doesn't know how yet. She doesn't have a plan. She's got $73 in her checking account and a denial letter bleeding ink in her pocket. But the fire is lit now, and the same world that just told her no is about to learn what happens when you push a black woman past the point of asking nicely. 6 months later, Richard Harrington is going to hit that marble floor so hard they'll hear it 3 states away. And Aisha Carter, she's just getting started. The rain doesn't let up. It beats on Aisha's shoulders like it's trying to drive her into the ground. Water streams down her face, mixing with tears she swore she wouldn't cry. The word denied burns red behind her eyes, hotter than the storm. She stands on the sidewalk, soaked to the bone, watching the big glass doors of Elite Trust Bank swing shut behind her like the gates of heaven slamming on a beggar. Cars hiss past, splashing her legs. Nobody stops. Nobody cares. She is 24 years old, broke, and just got told, in front of a whole lobby of strangers, that people like her don't get to dream that big. And something inside her chest starts to scream. We pull back slow, and the city blurs into every no she's ever heard. Flashback quick cuts, sharp as knife slices. 16 years old, sitting in a guidance counselor's office, while the white lady smiles too sweet and says, "Maybe you should think about cosmetology school, honey." 18, handing out resumes in her Sunday best, watching managers take one look and slide the paper back with the polite nod that means we'll call you, we won't. 21, standing in the baby aisle at Target, holding a bottle of lotion that cost more than her weekly food budget, reading the ingredients and realizing none of it was made for skin like hers. 23, walking into an apartment showing, credit score perfect, cash in hand, and the landlord suddenly remembering, "Oh, actually, my cousin wants the place." Every door, every single door, slammed. Now Harrington's smirk becomes every face that ever looked through her. The cop who followed her through Macy's like she was already stealing. The professor who said her paper, surprisingly good. The boys who called her stuck up for wanting more than a baby and a Section 8 voucher. All of them wearing Harrington's face now, laughing the same laugh. Aisha stumbles home, if you can call it that, through streets that smell like wet concrete and broken promises. She's crashing on her girl Keisha's cooch again, the one with the spring that pokes her in the back all night. Keisha's already asleep, baby monitor glowing soft on the coffee table. Aisha creeps into the little kitchen, pulls out her hot plate and cracked Pyrex bowl, and starts mixing at 3 in the morning. Tears drop into the shea butter, sizzle, disappear. She whispers ingredients like prayers. Coconut oil, jojoba, tea tree, please God, let this one work. Her hands shake from no sleep, no food, no hope. The mixture smells like church and struggle and Sunday dinner all at once. Morning comes grey. Keisha finds her asleep on the floor, face stuck to a notebook full of formulas. Keisha kneels, touches her shoulder gentle. Aisha, baby, maybe it's time to let it go. Get you a steady check at the hospital registration or something. The world don't want us to win like that. You killing yourself for nothing. Aisha lifts her head. Her eyes are bloodshot, but something in them is sharper than yesterday. She doesn't answer, just stares at the wall like she's seeing through it. Days bleed into weeks. She maxes out the 3 credit cards she swore she'd never touch. 800 here, 1,200 there, buying jars, labels, ingredients in bulk from some shady supplier in Jersey. She drains the last $8,000 from the account her grandma left, funeral money, don't touch money, and feels the guilt like a knife in her ribs. But she keeps moving. One night, 2:17 a.m., lights flickering because the bill is late. She sits cross-legged on the floor surrounded by boxes and shipping tape. Her fingers are raw, bleeding from cutting tape too fast. Phone in her lap shows the Shopify dashboard, 1 order, then 5, then 20. Little green notifications popping like gunshots of hope. She cries again, but this time it's different. This time it tastes like gasoline. She names the brand Melanin Crown the next morning, types it with bloody fingertips. Crown, because they tried to make her feel like nothing, and she's about to remind every sister out there that she was born royalty. Haters come quick. Comments flood in: scam, ugly packaging, who she thinks she is, Fenty already did it better. Influencers she slides into DMs don't even open the message. She packages every order at the post office herself, stands in line with the same people who used to look down on her. Her back aches, feet swell, bank account negative, but every time a package leaves her hands, she whispers, "Fly, baby, go make somebody feel beautiful." Meanwhile, across town, Richard Harrington leans back in a leather chair at the country club, cigar smoke curling around his pink face. Golf buddies laugh too loud at his story. "Had this entitled little girl in here the other day," he brags, swirling bourbon. "Wanted $1 million for hair grease or some nonsense. Told her straight, come back with a husband or a real job." They slap his back, call him a legend for keeping standards high. He sleeps like a baby that night, belly full of steak and superiority. But the knife twists deeper when the letter comes. Certified mail, Elite Trust Bank emblem in the corner. Aisha's hands go ice cold. She already knows. They're foreclosing on her grandmother's little house, the one with the porch swing and the rose bushes grandma tended until the cancer took her. The house Aisha grew up visiting every Sunday for neck bones and wisdom. The last piece of family she has left on this earth, because she fell behind on the property taxes when she used the money to buy coconut oil instead. She sits on Keisha's couch holding that letter, rocking slow, the weight of every closed door pressing on her chest until she can't breathe. Keisha watches from the doorway, scared to speak. The room is quiet except for the tick of the kitchen clock and the soft hiccup of Aisha trying not to sob out loud. She lifts her eyes to the cracked ceiling, whispers so low it's barely air. "If they won't let me in their door, I'll build my own house. Bigger, taller, with my name on it in gold." Her phone buzzes on the floor. Another order, then another, then 10 in 1 minute. Aisha wipes her face, stands up on shaking legs, and walks to the mirror hanging crooked by the front door. She looks dead at herself, puffy eyes, busted lips, crown crooked but still there. "They want to take the last thing Grandma gave me," her voice cracks, then hardens. "Then I'm about to take everything they thought was theirs." The storm outside has stopped. Dawn bleeds soft pink through the blinds. Aisha Carter is still broke, still bleeding, still sleeping on a couch that ain't hers. But something has shifted. The same hands that taped boxes all night now clench into fists that feel like they could break the sky open. And somewhere across town, Richard Harrington laughs over Eggs Benedict, not knowing the countdown on his whole world has already started. Because when you push a black woman to the edge and she doesn't fall, she learns how to fly. And baby, she's about to soar so high the sun itself gone, needs sunglasses. 6 months later, the same marble lobby breathes different air. Sunlight pours through those tall windows like gold on Judgment Day. The rain is gone. The city outside hums with Monday morning traffic, but inside Elite Trust Bank everything has gone still, like the world just hit pause. Richard Harrington walks in the way he always does, chest puffed, keys jangling, nodding at security like he owns the oxygen. His loafers click across the floor with that same rhythm that once crushed dreams. He's late for the quarterly board meeting, already rehearsing the speech about record profits and maintaining excellence. Then he sees her. Aisha Carter stands dead center under the chandelier, light crowning her like heaven itself decided to show up early. The simple blazer is gone. She's wearing a custom charcoal suit that costs more than Harrington's car, cut perfect to her body, moving like water when she breathes. Two lawyers in $5,000 suits stand behind her left shoulder. A film crew with steady cams and bright lights stands behind her right. Reporters clutch microphones like weapons. And right across the street, towering 60 feet high on the new digital billboard, her face glows, beautiful and fearless, next to the words Melanin Crown hits $500 million valuation in 180 days. The numbers flash red, then gold, then red again, like a heartbeat the whole city can see. Harrington stops so hard his briefcase swings and hits his leg. His mouth opens, closes, opens again, no sound. His face goes the color of old paper. People in the lobby turn slow, phones already up, recording. Somebody whispers, "That's her, that's the girl from the video." Another voice, "No way, that's the same girl he turned down." Harrington hears every word. It lands on him like bricks. Aisha doesn't rush. She walks toward him the way queens walk, slow, deliberate, heels silent on the marble, because power doesn't need to announce itself anymore. She stops exactly where he once stood over her, exactly where he slid that denial letter like trash. The space between them is only 3 feet, but it feels like 6 months and a lifetime. She looks him straight in the eyes. No anger, no smirk, just calm, deep, ancient calm. "Mr. Harrington," she says, voice soft enough that everyone leans in to hear it, velvet wrapped around a blade. "I'd like to acquire a controlling stake in Elite Trust Bank." She lets that sit for a second, watches it hit him square in the chest. "My offer is on the table. It's generous, very generous, especially considering how you once told me people like me weren't worth the paper our dreams were printed on." She places one document on the counter. One, thick, cream-colored, embossed with the Melanin Crown logo in gold. It lands on the exact same spot where her rejection letter once fluttered to the floor. The camera zooms tight on that single sheet of paper, then on Harrington's eyes as they drop to it. His hand shakes when he reaches out, but he doesn't touch it. He can't. The lobby is so quiet you can hear his breath hitch, hear the tiny wet sound of fear in his throat. Aisha keeps talking, calm, almost kind. "You said come back when I had a real job or a rich husband." She pauses, lets the whole lobby remember his words. "Well, I built the job, and I married the mission. Turns out that was enough." Somebody in the back gasps. A reporter's camera flashes. Harrington sways. His face drains from pink to gray to ghost white. His knees fold like cheap lawn chairs. Security rushes forward, 2 big men catching him under the arms before his head cracks the marble. He goes down hard anyway, a soft thud that echoes like a gavel. The king of this lobby, the man who decided who was worthy, now crumpled at the feet of the same girl he threw away. The crowd erupts, murmurs, phones shaking as they record. Aisha doesn't celebrate, doesn't laugh, doesn't kick him while he's down. She kneels, graceful, presses 2 fingers to his neck the way her grandmother taught her, checks he's still breathing. Satisfied, she stands back up, smooths her suit, and looks around at every face that once watched her cry in this same spot. Her eyes are steady. Her voice carries without trying. "I didn't come here to destroy a man," she says, clear enough for the microphones. "I came to remind the world that when you close a door on somebody's dream, you better pray they don't learn how to build a bigger house. She turns to the lawyers. Get Mr. Harrington some water and a chair. He's going to need to sit down when he hears what his shares are worth today. One of the lawyers nods, already moving. The film crew keeps rolling. The billboard across the street flashes again, $500 million, and now underneath it scrolls a new line in gold letters. Coming soon, Melanin Crown Foundation. Loans for the ONES, they said no TO. Aisha walks toward the elevator that leads to the boardroom, the same elevator only certain people were ever allowed to ride. Every step echoes. People part like the Red Sea. She doesn't look back at Harrington still on the floor, doesn't need to. The reversal is complete. The girl they laughed out the door now owns the keys to the whole kingdom. She stops just before the elevator doors slide open, turns one last time to the lobby full of stunned faces. Her voice is soft, but it fills the entire space. Tell every little girl watching this, she says, the same thing somebody should have told me back then. Your skin is not a risk factor. Your dreams are not a charity case. And the same people who tell you no today will be begging to carry your bags tomorrow. The doors close on her calm, beautiful face. Upstairs, the board members are already sweating, papers shaking in their hands. Downstairs, security is helping Harrington to a bench, fanning him with his own denial forms from 6 months ago that somebody thoughtfully printed out and left on the counter. And somewhere, a little girl in a cramped apartment with a hot plate and a dream is watching this on her cracked phone screen, tears running down her cheeks, whispering to the dark, if she can do it, maybe I can too. Because that's the real takeover, not the bank, not the money, not even watching a proud man hit the floor. The real victory is the moment a closed door stops feeling like the end and starts feeling like the beginning. Never forget, the same God who let them slam the door is the same God who taught us how to build the whole house. And when we do, we leave the light on for everybody coming behind us. That's not revenge. That's redemption. 3 months have passed since the marble floor kissed Richard Harrington's pride. The same office where he once sat high behind that desk now belongs to someone else. The nameplate is gone. In its place, a simple gold engraving, AISHA Carter, Chair and CEO. The walls carry new art, bold, beautiful black women with crowns of flowers and futures. The air smells faintly of she and frankincense instead of old money and arrogance. Late afternoon sun spills through the blinds, painting stripes across the carpet like prison bars made of light. The door opens slow. Richard Harrington steps in, smaller than anyone remembers. His suit hangs loose. The jacket hasn't been pressed in weeks. His hair has gone grayer at the temples, and his eyes stay on the floor like he's scared the ceiling might fall if he looks up. He clutches a worn fedora against his chest the way men do when they've lost everything else to hold on to. Aisha sits behind the wide desk, calm, reading glasses low on her nose, pen moving steady across paperwork that decides destinies now. She doesn't look up right away, lets the silence stretch until it's uncomfortable. When she finally does, her gaze is gentle, but it still makes him flinch. Mr. Harrington, she says, voice soft, almost kind, have a seat. He lowers himself into the same chair where dreamers once begged him for mercy. His hands shake so hard the hat slips. He catches it, clutches it tighter. Words come out cracked and dry. I made some bad investments after the buyout. The market turned. My house is in foreclosure. My wife, she left. I know I got no right to ask, but I'm here about a personal loan, just enough to keep the bank from taking everything. He can't even say her bank. The words choke him. Aisha removes her glasses, folds them slow, sets them down. She leans back, studies him the way you study a man who once held your whole future in his palm and crushed it for sport. Minutes pass. The clock on the wall ticks loud enough to sound like a heartbeat. Outside, the city keeps moving, but in here time has stopped. I remember the day you sat in that same chair, she says finally, voice low, steady. I stood right where you're standing now, folder full of hope. You didn't even look at me long enough to see I was human. She lets that land. His shoulders fold inward like wet paper. You told me people like me don't get 7 figures, told me to find a rich husband. A small, sad smile touches her mouth, gone as quick as it came. Funny how life turns. Harrington's eyes fill. He tries to swallow the tears, but one escapes, races down the crease beside his nose. I was wrong, he whispers. I know what I did, I know what I was. I'm not asking for forgiveness, just enough to not lose the last thing I got. Aisha picks up the loan folder he brought, flips through it, quiet. The numbers are small, humble, the kind of request tellers approve before coffee gets cold. She could deny him with one stroke of her pen and nobody would blame her. The room waits. She clicks the pen once, twice. Then she signs, approval, clean and bold across the line that once said DNIED to her. She slides the folder back across the desk. It's approved, she says simply, no cosigner needed. Harrington stares at the signature like he's seeing a ghost. His mouth opens, no sound. Tears fall faster now, dripping onto his knuckles. He tries to stand, legs unsteady. Why, he manages, voice breaking. After everything Aisha stands too, walks around the desk slow, stops in front of him. She's taller in her quiet than he ever was in his loud. Because I'm not you, she says. I didn't climb over your body to get here. I built my ladder beside you while you were busy looking down. She pauses, lets him feel every word. I'm not giving you this loan because you deserve it. I'm giving it because I refuse to let your smallness live in me. He drops the hat. Both hands cover his face as the sobs come hard, ugly, the kind that rip out of a man who's finally seeing the size of the hole he dug. Aisha doesn't touch him, just stands there, letting him break. When the storm quiets, she speaks again, softer now. Dignity isn't something you hand out when people beg pretty enough, Richard. It's something we carry inside us even when folks like you try to strip it away. I carried mine through every no you and people like you ever gave me, and I'm still carrying it now. He nods into his palms, shoulders shaking. Then he slides off the chair, down to his knees right there on the carpet, not dramatic, just broken. I'm sorry, he whispers to the floor, to her shoes, to 6 months ago. I'm so sorry. Aisha looks at him a long moment. Something passes across her face, mercy, maybe, or memory. She steps past him, opens the office door herself. Take care of yourself, Mr. Harrington, she says. And the next time you sit across from somebody asking for a chance, remember how this chair feels from the other side. He stumbles out into the hallway, leaning against the wall, crying like a child who just learned the world is bigger than he thought. The door closes soft behind him. Aisha walks to the window. The city stretches out beneath her, golden in the setting sun. Her reflection stares back, strong, calm, eyes carrying every tear she never let fall in public. She speaks quiet, but the whole room hears it, the whole building, the whole sky. They can deny your loan. They can deny your humanity. But they can never deny what you decide to build when everything says quit. She places one hand on the cool glass, fingers spread like she's touching every dreamer still standing in lines, still getting doors slammed, still mixing hope in cracked bowls at 3 a.m. Never let somebody's small mind measure your worth, she says, voice steady as stone. The moment they close the door, start laying your own bricks, because the same mouths that say no today will be on their knees tomorrow trying to spell your name right. Downstairs, Richard Harrington walks out the lobby with his head up for the first time in months, approval letter folded careful in his pocket like it's made of gold. And somewhere high above, Aisha Carter keeps building not just a company, not just an empire, but a whole new set of doors wide enough for every little girl who was ever told she didn't belong. That's not revenge, that's redemption. And redemption always leaves the light on for whoever's ready to walk through next.